After hosting Thanksgiving dinner for 20 people and cooking for 2 days straight, I went upstairs to grab a blanket for my husband's cold. Instead, I found him in our guest room, shirtless, whispering into the phone. I hate how she thinks she's the perfect wife. I stood frozen in the hallway holding that blanket while he said, I'd marry you tomorrow if she disappeared. 2 weeks later, he got home to an empty house, divorce papers, and a package of Polaroids he didn't know I'd taken that night. Hi, my name's Rebecca. I'm 41. I live in Lexington, Kentucky. And up until a couple months ago, I really thought I had a solid marriage. My husband, Mark, and I were together for 12 years. Married for 9. We had a good house, good jobs, good reputation. No kids, though we tried. I never thought that was a deal breaker for us. We just kept living life. Hosting holidays, taking vacations, seeing friends. He worked in IT for a law firm. I taught 3rd grade. We had routines, inside jokes. Things married people build up over time. So when I offered to host Thanksgiving this past year, Mark wasn't surprised. We'd done it twice before. His family and mine, about 20 people total. I made a list, did a full grocery run, cleaned every corner of the house. I don't cut corners when it comes to hosting. I even deep cleaned the oven and bought new tablecloths. I cooked for 2 full days. 2 pies, turkey, ham, 3 kinds of stuffing for sides, fresh rolls, appetizers, drinks, the whole thing. The kitchen was chaos, but I had it under control. The dinner itself went great. Everyone was happy, full, and complimenting the food. Mark's mom told me I outdid herself again. His sister actually smiled at me for once. I was bone-tired but proud of how it all came together. By the time everyone left, it was almost 10 p.m. I was still cleaning up, wrapping leftovers, loading the dishwasher, wiping counters. Mark said he felt cold and was going to lie down. That was normal. He always complains about the temperature. I wanted to be sweet, so I went upstairs to get him the heavy throw blanket from the hallway closet. Something small, thoughtful. That's the kind of wife I am. As I got to the top of the stairs, I heard his voice. It stopped me in my tracks. He wasn't in our bedroom. The guest room door was cracked open. That was strange. We hadn't had any guests since summer. I stepped slowly toward it, not making a sound. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I thought maybe he was on the phone with his brother or something. But then I heard what he said. I hate how she thinks she's the perfect wife. I stood there frozen, holding that damn blanket like it was some kind of joke. Then came the next line. I'd marry you tomorrow if she disappeared. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. I just stood there in the hallway, feeling like the walls were closing in. He was shirtless, sitting on the edge of the guest bed, talking low into his phone. I backed away quietly. I didn't want him to know I heard. I went back downstairs and sat on the couch. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, replaying it in my head, over and over. My ears were ringing. When I finally went back upstairs, he was already in bed. I handed him the blanket like nothing happened. He smiled at me and said, "Thanks, babe." I climbed into bed next to him, laid on my side, and stared into the dark. I didn't sleep a second. The next morning, I got up and made coffee like usual. I packed his lunch. He kissed me on the cheek and said he'd be home by 6. The second he left, I went upstairs and checked the guest room. There was nothing obvious. No clothes out.
No perfume smell.
But there was a black phone charger plugged into the wall by the nightstand. We don't own a black charger. Ours are white and gray. I knew what that meant. I started looking. Quietly. Carefully. When he was at work. When he showered. When he left for errands. I searched the garage. The basement. The closets. I finally found it tucked in a dusty red toolbox in the garage, under a box of old wires and broken tools. A cheap burner phone. One I'd never seen before. It had no passcode. The messages made me sick. I'm only staying because she'd be ruined if I left right now. I wish she were here tonight instead of her. Thanksgiving was hell. She was acting like some perfect homemaker. They went back months. Photos too. Some of her. Some of him. One of him in the mirror, shirtless, holding the phone. That's when it clicked. That night, the night I heard him, I had my old Canon camera in the hallway closet. I still use it for vacation photos because I like physical pictures. So, I recreated the moment. I took 3 photos through the cracked door. One of him shirtless on the bed, one of him with the phone to his ear, and one through the mirror where you could see his face whispering into it. They were slightly grainy, but clear enough to know what was happening. I printed them out on Polaroid-style photo paper. I didn't tell anyone. Not my sister. Not my best friend. Not my coworker at school who'd always joked that Mark looked like a guy who'd cheat if he had the chance. Instead, I went into planning mode. I opened a separate bank account in my name only. I started scanning and saving all our financial documents. I looked up divorce lawyers and called 3 before choosing one. I found a furnished rental 10 minutes away under my maiden name. Paid the deposit in cash. For 2 weeks, I acted like nothing was wrong. I smiled, cooked dinner, asked about his day, slept beside him. But I was packing during his work hours, moving small boxes into storage. Bit by bit. He never noticed. He was too busy texting her. I even faked being sick one weekend just to avoid intimacy. I couldn't stand to let him touch me. Then, on a Tuesday morning, I watched him drive off for work at 7:45 a.m. By 10 o'clock, I was gone. Everything I cared about was already packed. I cleaned the house, locked the doors, and left one envelope on the kitchen table. Inside, a copy of the divorce papers, already signed by me. 3 Polaroids. Nothing else. No note. No key. No why. When he got home, I imagined the silence hit him first. Then the emptiness. Then the photos. I didn't answer when he called that night. He left 6 voicemails in under an hour. The first 2 were confused. Rebecca? Where are you? Did something happen? Then angry. Is this some kind of joke? What the hell is this? Then scared. Please talk to me. I messed up. We can fix this. I didn't reply. The next day, I got a text from his sister. What happened between you and Mark?
He's a wreck.
Please talk to him. I blocked her. He tried to come to my work 2 days later. I saw him through the front office window and told the secretary to tell him I wasn't available. He waited in the parking lot for an hour, then drove off. He called my mom. She didn't pick up. My family already knew everything by then. They were angry for me, my mom especially. She always liked Mark, but the second she saw those photos, her face turned cold. She said, I never thought he had it in him, but I believe it now. He kept reaching out. Emails. Flowers. A handwritten letter left at the door of my new apartment. I didn't read it, just tore it in half and threw it in the trash. But then something happened that made everything worse. A week after I left, I got a call from a number I didn't know. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I should. It was her, the woman from the burner phone. She didn't say her name. She just said, I'm the one he's been calling. My chest tightened. She said, I thought you deserved to know the truth. I didn't say anything.
She went on.
He told me you were cold, controlling, that you made him feel like a failure. He said he only stayed because you had all the money, and if he left, he'd end up with nothing. That last part made me want to laugh. I was the one paying our bills the last 2 years. I was the one who kept us afloat when he got laid off and had to switch to a lower-paying job. She paused, then added, he told me you were mentally unstable, that you once threatened to hurt yourself if he ever left. I nearly dropped the phone. I said, that never happened. Ever. She was quiet for a second, then said, I believe you. He's been lying to both of us. I asked her why she was calling me. She said, because I just found out he's been talking to another woman too. One I didn't know about. Mark had a 3rd woman. I felt sick. I thanked her for calling. Then I hung up. I sat on the floor of my apartment for a long time. No music.
No te ve.
Just silence. The betrayal ran deeper than I thought. It wasn't just me he lied to. It was everyone. He was a serial manipulator. He liked to play the victim, make women feel sorry for him, make himself the good guy trapped by the crazy wife narrative. I wasn't crazy. I was tired. And now I was furious. The next day, I called my lawyer and told her I wanted to go after every penny I was owed. Every account, every asset, every part of the retirement fund we built together. I wanted it split down the middle. If he thought he was going to cheat and walk away clean, he had another thing coming. She agreed and started filing motions. 3 days later, I got an email from Mark. It was long, dramatic, full of phrases like, "I lost myself," and "You're the only person who really knew me." I didn't reply. But I did send the screenshots and photos to the third woman, the one the other woman told me about. I found her through Instagram. It wasn't hard. She replied within minutes. WTF. I didn't even know he was married. Of course she didn't. He lied to her too. Now, all three of us knew. And none of us wanted him. That's when I started planning my final move. Not just to end things legally, but to make sure he never forgot what he lost. It was around this time that Mark's image started to crack in public. At work, people began whispering. I didn't tell anyone from his office what happened, but I knew one of the other women had. Probably the first one, the one from the burner phone. I never got her name, but I knew she wasn't going to stay quiet once she found out about the third woman. Word spread fast. One of his coworkers was friends with my best friend's husband. That's how it came back to me. I wasn't even looking for it. Apparently, Mark had been bragging at work about how good his marriage was, how supportive I was, and how he could do no wrong at home.
And now?
Now people knew he had cheated on me, lied to multiple women, got caught in the most pathetic way possible, whispering shirtless into a phone like a coward, in his own guest room, the same night I hosted 20 people and fed them with food I cooked for 2 days straight. One of his friends from work, Steve, reached out to me. I'd only met him once before. He said, "I'm not trying to intrude, but just so you know, he's not holding up well. Everyone knows. No one respects him now." I said thanks and left it at that. I didn't need updates. I already knew what was coming. But I wanted one more twist. So I mailed one last envelope. This one went to Mark's parents. I didn't write a letter. I just sent the 3 Polaroids and a printed copy of one of the texts I pulled from his burner phone. The one where he said, "Rebecca's not a real wife. She just wants people to clap for her. I fake everything to keep her from falling apart." A few days later, I got a text from his mom. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea. You didn't deserve this." I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because now they knew who he really was too. A few more things started happening after that. He got hit with a notice for a formal deposition. My lawyer pushed for a full accounting of our finances, which meant opening up everything. Even the credit cards I didn't know about. Turns out, he'd been spending money on hotels and dinners, and not cheap ones. We found charges from a Hilton Garden Inn near work, 2 nights in September. He told me he was at a conference. He wasn't. There were dinners charged at a steakhouse he said he hated. Hundreds of dollars. Wine, dessert, valet. All of it came out during discovery. And I made sure it went into the court file. But the biggest twist came 2 weeks later. My lawyer got an anonymous tip. Someone sent her screenshots of messages between Mark and yet another woman. A fourth one. A bartender in Louisville he'd been seeing on and off for over a year. He met her during a guy's weekend. She had no idea he was married either. That made 4 women. 4 sets of lies. 4 different versions of the same story. My wife doesn't love me. I'm just staying for now. I want to be with you. It was his script. I started to think he was never going to stop. That if I hadn't caught him that night, he would have gone on for years, pretending, lying, and blaming me for every little thing. I also realized something else. That whisper I heard, "I'd marry you tomorrow," if she disappeared. It wasn't just cheating. It was a fantasy. A little movie he played in his head where he got to be the sad, good guy trapped by the bad wife. He didn't want me gone. He wanted to feel powerful. Like someone wanted him more than I did. Like he was worth fighting over. But when it all came crashing down, nobody wanted to fight for him. Not even the other women. He ended up alone. Job hanging by a thread. Family disappointed. Friends avoiding him. All the attention he wanted? He got it, just not the kind that makes you feel admired. But I wasn't done yet. After months of back and forth with lawyers, depositions, and sleepless nights, we finally got a court date. Mark tried to delay it twice. Claimed he needed time to get his records in order. But the judge wasn't buying it. He saw through him right away. My lawyer had everything lined up. Financial records showing hidden spending. Photos. Screenshots. Statements from 2 of the women. When Mark walked into that courtroom, he didn't look like the man I married. His suit didn't fit right, his face looked thinner, and his confidence was gone. He barely looked at me.
We didn't speak.
The hearing was brutal. My lawyer laid everything out, clear and cold. Mark's lawyer tried to spin it, but there was no spinning this. He had no way to explain away the lies, the affairs, the spending. He just sat there, blinking, looking like he wanted to crawl under the table. The judge awarded me everything I asked for. Half of his retirement. Spousal support. I kept the house. He had to move out within 30 days. He didn't fight it. But here's where it got worse for him. 3 weeks after the court hearing, his firm let him go. Someone from HR had seen the court file. They said it was damaging to the firm's image. That wasn't a lie. His job was in IT security. Trust matters in that field. And who trusts a man who lies to 4 women and keeps a second phone in his guest room? Then came the final blow. The 4th woman, the bartender, posted everything online. Screenshots, photos, the works. She didn't use his full name, but anyone who knew him would know it was him. She called him a liar, a user, and a coward. She said, he begged me to leave town with him. Told me he was trapped with his wife. Said she was cold and dead inside. But turns out, she was the one hosting holidays while he snuck around like a child. It went semi-viral in our town. Lexington isn't huge.
People love gossip.
His name was done. By then, he was living in a small apartment on the edge of town.
He tried to call me one last time.
I didn't pick up. He left a voicemail. I know I ruined everything. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I don't know who I am anymore. I deleted it. Because the truth is, I did make mistakes too. I ignored signs. I let small things slide. I convinced myself for years that being the perfect wife meant covering up the cracks. Smiling through the disappointment. Keeping up appearances. But I wasn't perfect. I was scared. Scared of starting over. Scared of people talking. Scared of failing. So I worked harder. I cooked more. I cleaned, planned, hosted, and praised him even when he didn't deserve it. But it wasn't enough. Because you can't work your way into someone loving you the right way. That Thanksgiving night, I stood in that hallway holding a blanket I got for a man who never would have done the same for me.
And now?
Now I sleep in that same house. Alone. But at peace. I drink my morning coffee without checking his schedule. I read books without feeling guilty for not doing chores. I host smaller dinners. Just friends who love me. People who stay loyal even when nobody's watching. As for Mark, I don't know what he's doing now. I don't care. Because the man who whispered in the dark about replacing me, he got what he wanted. He made me disappear from his life. And now he lives with the silence. Forever.